Today, we are going to decode something truly fascinating, a piece of 19th century religious history that was so much more than just clothing. It was a symbolic map, an embodied covenant, and for the people who wore it, a portable sanctuary. So let's peel back the layers. Okay, first things first, to really get what this garment is all about, we have to understand a key concept: religious investiture. Now, this is not just about getting dressed. It's this powerful idea that putting on certain clothes can actually signify a deep change in your identity, your status, or your spiritual capacity. It's like an enrobing of the soul itself. And that idea of investiture brings us to the core metaphor for this garment. You have to picture it. For 19th century Mormons out on the American frontier, life was tough, unpredictable. The temple represented a sacred, orderly space, but you couldn't exactly live there. So this garment, it became a way to carry that sanctity, that sense of cosmic order, with you out into the real world. It was, in essence, a portable sanctuary. So what did this portable sanctuary actually look like? Let's get tangible here. The original pattern goes all the way back to a place called Nauvoo, Illinois, around 1842, and its design is attributed to Joseph Smith, the founder of the movement. The original old-style garment was probably pretty different from anything you might imagine. We're talking a full one-piece union suit, neck to ankles and wrists. It was made from really simple stuff like unbleached cotton or muslin. And check out these details. It was held together with simple ties or strings, not buttons. And the sacred marks, we're going to get to those in a minute, they weren't fancy embroidery. They were often cut right into the fabric itself. Everything about it was humble, practical, and just steeped in symbolism. Let's just pause on those ties for a second, because they tell a really interesting story. See, buttons were common back then, but they were also seen as kind of fancy, a product of worldly fashion. So choosing to use simple cotton strings was a very deliberate act. Those ties were a symbol of humility, of the idea of yoking yourself to God in discipleship instead of chasing the latest trends. All right, now we get to the real heart of the garment's meaning, a set of 4 sacred marks. Now, these are not just for decoration. Oh no. They're a symbolic language, a kind of sacred geometry written right onto the body. Let's decode them one by one. So the first mark we see is located on the right breast. It's an L-shaped symbol, and it's known as the square. So on the surface, the square was taught to represent the justice and the uprightness of God. Simple enough, but the deeper symbolism is just fascinating. Think about it. Geometrically, a square represents the earth, the 4 corners of the world. By placing it here, the wearer is reminded to square their everyday earthly actions with divine law. It becomes this symbol of integrity, the very hinge that a life of covenant swings on.
Now, directly opposite the square, over on the left breast, we find our second mark, a V-shaped symbol called the compass.
The compass is all about mercy and this idea of circumscribing or containing your desires. And this creates this beautiful, brilliant tension, right? If the square represents the earth, the compass represents the heavens. A circle, which you draw with the compass, is a classic symbol of eternity. And where is it placed? Right over the heart. It's this incredible idea that while justice squares our actions, our heart needs to be encircled by divine love and mercy. Okay, moving down the body now. The third mark is just a simple horizontal line, and it's placed right at the navel. This mark is all about sanctifying the body's core functions. The navel. That's our very first physical connection to life, right? Through the umbilical cord. In a lot of ancient cultures, this spot was called the omphalos, or the navel of the world, a sacred center where heaven and earth connect. So this simple line is a declaration that even our most basic biological acts, like getting nourishment and giving life, are sacred. And that brings us to our final mark, another horizontal line, but this one is placed over the right knee. This symbolism here is just so direct and beautiful. The knee is literally the body's hinge of worship. It's the joint that lets us perform the physical act of prayer and submission. But here's the kicker. There's this amazing linguistic connection in Hebrew, where the word for knee, barak, is almost the exact same as the word for blessing, baraka. So this mark sanctifies the very act of kneeling as the source from which blessings actually flow. All right, so we've looked at these 4 different marks, and each one is packed with its own rich symbolism. But here's the thing. They aren't meant to be read in isolation. When you put them all together, well, they reveal something way more profound. What if these weren't just 4 random symbols scattered on a piece of clothing? What if they were actually points on a map? What if they formed a larger blueprint for something else entirely? And there it is. That's the big reveal. The marks on the garment are an exact mirror of the marks on the temple veil. The sacred curtain that separates humanity from the presence of God inside the temple. This is the aha moment. The person wearing this garment isn't just wearing symbolic clothes. They are wrapping themselves in the veil. They are becoming a walking, living temple. Now, you might think this idea of sacred protective clothing is totally unique, but it actually has incredibly deep roots. It's part of a long, long conversation that stretches back for thousands of years. I mean, just think about it. Way back in Genesis, Adam and Eve are given coats of skins by God himself, a kind of protective second skin. In Exodus, the Hebrew high priest was commanded to wear special linen undergarments when he served in the temple. And even early Syriac Christian texts talk about initiates receiving a garment of light. So the 19th century garment didn't come out of nowhere. It was synthesizing all of these ancient threads into one single practice. Okay, so let's bring this all home. We've got a portable sanctuary, a replica of the temple veil, and it's got these deep ancient roots. But the real genius of this design, I think, is where these marks are placed on the body. I mean, what does it mean to wear this covenant, not just in your heart, but literally on your skin? Well, it creates what you could almost call a bio-theological map. Think about it for a second. The square and the compass, they're placed right over the heart and lungs, our circulatory and respiratory systems. The navel mark, that lines up with our digestive and reproductive core. And the knee mark sanctifies the musculoskeletal system that allows us to move and act and worship. This is not a rejection of the physical body. It's a radical declaration that the entire biological human, all of it, is sacred. So, as we've seen, this simple piece of unbleached cotton was doing a lot of heavy lifting. It was working on at least 4 different levels, right? It was a portable sanctuary in a really chaotic world. It was a symbolic map of divine principles. It was a miniature walking replica of the temple veil. And ultimately, it was a covenant that was embodied, not just believed in. And that really is the ultimate takeaway here. For its 19th century wearer, this garment wasn't just about protection or a simple reminder. It transformed the individual into a living, breathing piece of temple architecture. It provided this profound sense of cosmic order and a direct connection to God. And that just leaves us with one final question. And this one goes way beyond any single belief system. Whether it's through a cross, a kippah, a hijab, or something like what we've just looked at, what does it truly mean to physically wear your worldview, to carry your beliefs on your body every single day? It's definitely something to think about.